Welcome to our deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring the art of getting a woman to flirt with you.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, our source material. It's pretty bold. I'll give it that. But even if we don't buy into every suggestion,
Right.
I think there's some real gems in here about building that spark.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I think is so fascinating about this particular source is it goes beyond that typical advice of just be confident.
Yeah.
You know, it really breaks down specific techniques, almost like a playbook for how to create that playful, flirty dynamic.
Right. And that's what we're here to unpack.
Exactly.
It's not to turn anyone into a pickup artist or anything like that,
Right.
but to give you the tools to feel more confident and engaging in those initial interactions.
Yeah, it's about empowerment through understanding.
I love that. Okay, so the source jumps right in with this idea of semi-sexual compliments. Now, full disclosure, when I first read that, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that sounds a little intense. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it's actually about striking a balance.
It's brilliant, really, because if you think about a regular compliment, like you look nice, it's so surface level,
Yeah.
but a semi-sexual compliment hints at attraction without being overtly sexual. It's like saying, I see you and I'm intrigued.
The source gives this example. Instead of, you look nice today, you might say something like, wow, that dress was made for you.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. There's an appreciation for her style, but also this subtle suggestion that you find her attractive.
And you know what I think is so fascinating is the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
When you deliver a compliment like that, it creates a little bit of tension. The question in her mind, is he just being nice or is there something more here? And that curiosity can be incredibly powerful.
It's like you're sparking her interest and inviting her to play along.
Exactly. And it's not just about the words themselves.
Right.
The delivery is key.
Yeah.
Imagine someone saying, wow, that dress was made for you, but they're mumbling and avoiding eye contact.
Yeah,
It's going to fall flat.
totally. Confidence is essential. And the source emphasizes that brief pause after the compliment,
Oh, yeah.
letting it land before moving on.
Yes.
Almost like you're giving her a moment to process it and react.
And that's where the semi-sexual aspect comes in. You're not
Right.
dwelling on it. You're not making it weird.
Right.
You're simply acknowledging her impact on you and then allowing the conversation to flow naturally.
So how does someone figure out which semi-sexual compliments feel right for them?
That's a good question.
I mean, we all have different personalities and comfort levels.
Absolutely. That's where self-awareness comes in.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot between genuine appreciation and subtle flirtation. What makes you feel confident, what aligns with your style. The source provides a framework, but you get to tailor it to your unique voice.
I like that. And the source also mentions complimenting a woman's smile. But with the twist, instead of a generic, you have a great smile, they suggest something like,
You have a smile that makes it hard to concentrate.
okay.
Now, that's definitely bolder.
Yeah, I can see how that would create that playful tension we were talking about. It acknowledges her impact without being too intense.
It's playful, a little bit cheeky,
Yeah.
and it suggests that she's captivating, that her presence has an effect on you.
And I like how it flips the script a bit. Instead of just complimenting her appearance, you're revealing something about how you feel in her presence.
Exactly, and that vulnerability, that willingness to put yourself out there a little,
Yeah.
can be very attractive.
This reminds me of a time when... No, never mind.
Okay.
Let's move on.
All right.
So the source talks about flirty questions, and I have to say, I'm intrigued.
Ooh, yes. This is where things get really fun.
Okay.
Instead of just making statements, you're inviting her to engage, to reveal something about herself. And when you ask the right questions, you can create a sense of connection that goes beyond surface-level conversation.
The source suggests starting with lighthearted questions that spark curiosity. Like, what do you find most attractive in a guy? Or, when was your first kiss? I love how those are playful, but also invite her to open up a little. It's
Yeah.
almost like you're giving her permission to be a little flirty back.
Yeah.
You're creating a space for that playful banter to unfold.
I also like the question, have you ever made the first move on someone? It's a conversation starter, but also reveals something about her personality and dating style.
And it's subtly saying, I'm interested in your experiences, and I'm open to the possibility of you taking the lead,
Ooh.
which can be very empowering for a woman.
Now, the source does acknowledge that these questions could lead to some awkward moments.
Yep.
What if she asks, why are you asking me that?
That's a great question, and it highlights the importance of context.
Yeah.
The same question can be perceived very differently depending on the setting, the vibe, the level of rapport you've established.
So it's not just about memorizing a list of questions. It's about reading the room
Exactly.
and adjusting your approach accordingly.
Precisely. And if she does ask why you're asking, don't back down. The source emphasizes owning your curiosity.
You could say something like, because I find you intriguing and I'm genuinely interested in what makes you tick.
That's a great way to address her question without losing that flirty vibe.
It's also about being honest.
Yeah,
You are curious and you are attracted to her. Why not own that?
I like that. It's about being confident and playful, but also respectful. You're acknowledging her right to question you while also reinforcing your interest.
Absolutely.
And if she still seems hesitant, you can always open up first to encourage her.
Right.
So if you asked about what she finds attractive, you could say, personally, I find a woman who's passionate about something, whatever it is, incredibly attractive. You're giving her a glimpse into your values while also creating space for her to share hers.
I like that.
Okay, this next technique from the source is my favorite so far.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's called playful misinterpretation, and it's about injecting humor and flirtation into the conversation by playfully twisting her words.
Ooh, this is brilliant. Because it takes a potential negative and turns it into a playful opportunity to connect. Imagine she says, "That's a terrible shirt you're wearing." Instead of getting defensive, you could say something like, "Wow, we've just met and you're already trying to get me out of my clothes. At least buy me dinner first."
Okay, I can see why you love this one. It's witty, disarming, and definitely flirty.
It shows that you're quick on your feet and not afraid to have fun with the conversation.
The source also gives an example of how to respond if she says she spent the weekend by herself.
Oh yeah, what's that?
They suggest saying something like, "That's great, self-exploration is so important for personal growth."
Ooh, nice.
The playful innuendo is there, but it's subtle enough to keep things lighthearted.
I like it.
I love how these techniques shift the dynamic.
Yeah.
You're not just some guy she's talking to, but someone who's fun to be around, who can make her laugh. It's about creating that sense of playfulness and intrigue.
Exactly. You're positioning yourself as someone who's confident, engaging, and who gets her sense of humor.
But the source does caution against overusing this technique.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Absolutely. If every comment is a playful misinterpretation, it can start to feel forced and insincere.
Yeah.
The key is to sprinkle these moments throughout the conversation
Okay.
to keep things interesting and create a sense of anticipation.
So we've covered semi-sexual compliments, flirty questions, and playful misinterpretation. It feels like we've already uncovered a wealth of information.
We have.
But there's more to explore. What's next on our deep dive into getting her to flirt back?
Now that we've established the foundation for flirtation, it's time to talk about building momentum and taking things to the next level. We'll explore techniques like teasing callbacks and creating an us dynamic that makes her want to keep playing along.
Ooh, that sounds fascinating.
Yes.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll delve deeper into the art of keeping that spark alive.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the art of flirtation.
Ooh, part 2.
Last time we talked about some pretty powerful techniques for sparking that initial interest and creating that playful, flirty vibe.
We did. We talked about semi-sexual compliments, those subtly suggestive questions, and the art of playful misinterpretation.
Right.
I'm already feeling more confident just thinking about it.
That's great to hear. But as we know, not every interaction is going to be smooth sailing.
True.
Sometimes there might be a little hesitation, a little uncertainty in the air.
Right. What happens when she doesn't immediately jump into that flirty back and forth? It's easy to start doubting yourself in those moments.
It is. And that's where the real mastery of flirtation comes in.
Okay.
Navigating those moments of hesitation with grace and confidence.
That sounds tricky.
It can be. But what's interesting is the source doesn't shy away from this. It actually provides a framework for handling these situations without losing that spark.
Okay. I'm all ears. How do we keep the momentum going even when things feel a bit off?
Well, the source emphasizes the importance of staying grounded. It's so easy to get caught up in your head wondering if you said the wrong thing or if she's just not interested.
Oh, I know, I've been there. You start overthinking everything and it just makes things more awkward.
Exactly. The key is to remember that her hesitation doesn't necessarily mean rejection.
Oh.
There could be a million reasons why she's not fully engaging at that moment.
Yeah, maybe she's just having a bad day, or she's a little shy,
Right.
or maybe she's trying to figure you out too.
Precisely. And the worst thing you could do is let your own insecurity take over.
Yeah.
If you start apologizing for everything or trying too hard to win her back, it's going to backfire.
So how do we find that balance between being persistent and respecting her space?
The source gives this fantastic example. Let's say you ask her a question, and she says, "I'm not sure I want to answer that." Instead of panicking, you can simply say, "No worries, it's all just for fun. Let's talk about something else." You're acknowledging her response, respecting her boundaries, and gracefully shifting the conversation.
I like that. It's like you're saying, hey, I'm interested, but I'm not going to pressure you. There's a quiet confidence in that approach that I find really attractive.
It is. It's about creating a safe and comfortable environment where she feels free to engage at her own pace.
And that kind of respect can go a long way in building attraction.
Absolutely. It shows that you're not just focused on getting what you want, but that you genuinely care about her comfort and well-being.
So we've talked about handling hesitation, but what about taking things to that next level? How do we subtly escalate the flirtation without crossing any lines?
That's where the art of escalation comes in.
Okay.
The source provides some really insightful techniques for deepening the connection without being pushy or disrespectful.
I'm all ears. This is where things start to get really interesting.
One technique the source suggests is introducing more intimate compliments.
Okay.
Instead of just complimenting her appearance, you start to acknowledge qualities you admire about her personality or character.
So instead of saying you have beautiful eyes, you might say something like, I love how passionate you are about your work.
Exactly. It's a deeper level of appreciation, and it shows that you're paying attention to who she is as a person.
I can see how that would create a stronger sense of connection. It's not just about physical attraction anymore. It's about recognizing her inner qualities.
And the source emphasizes that these compliments should always be genuine.
Right.
Don't just say things you think she wants to hear. If you're not truly impressed by something, it's going to come across as insincere.
Right. Authenticity is key. But what about physical touch? That can be a bit of a minefield when it comes to flirting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Touch is a powerful tool,
Yeah.
but it needs to be used with care and respect. The source suggests introducing touch subtly and gradually, always paying attention to her reactions.
So we're not talking about grand gestures here. It's
No.
more about those fleeting moments of connection.
Exactly. You might lightly touch her arm while you're making a point, or brush her hand when you're both reaching for something.
Yep.
It's about creating a sense of intimacy and shared space without being forceful or awkward.
And it goes without saying that if she seems uncomfortable or pulls away, you need to back off immediately.
Absolutely. Consent and respect are paramount in any interaction, especially when it comes to physical touch.
This has been such an insightful exploration of navigating those delicate moments in flirtation. I feel like I'm starting to understand the nuances of reading cues, respecting boundaries, and deepening the connection without overstepping.
That's great to hear. But we're not done yet. There's one more crucial element we need to discuss: the art of building momentum and keeping that spark alive.
Okay, I can't wait to hear more about that. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll delve into techniques for creating a playful, engaging dynamic that makes her want to keep flirting back. Welcome back to our deep dive. We're on the final part of our exploration into getting her to flirt back.
Yes, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From crafting those subtly suggestive compliments to navigating those sometimes tricky moments of hesitation.
Yeah, I feel like we've uncovered a lot of really useful information
Absolutely.
for anyone who wants to feel more confident and comfortable in those initial interactions.
Exactly.
So where do we go from here? What's the final piece of the puzzle when it comes to mastering the art of flirtation?
Well, the source talks about this idea of building momentum, keeping that playful energy flowing, creating a dynamic that makes her want to keep flirting back.
Ah, so it's like you've sparked the flame, but now you need to keep fanning it to build a fire.
Exactly. And one of the most effective ways to do this, according to the source, is teasing.
Teasing. Okay, isn't that a little risky? I mean, you don't want to come across as mean-spirited or sarcastic.
You're right. There's definitely a fine line to walk. But when done well, teasing can be incredibly effective.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's about playful banter, lighthearted challenges that create a fun and dynamic energy between you.
Can you give us an example?
Absolutely. Let's say she mentions that she's a terrible cook. You could playfully respond with something like, "Good thing I'm a master chef. Guess I'll have to handle all the cooking in this relationship."
I love that. It's playful, it's suggestive, and it creates that us dynamic without being too serious.
Exactly. It's about planting a seed in a lighthearted way. You're not actually proposing marriage,
Right.
but you're creating a shared fantasy, a glimpse into a potential future together.
It's like you're inviting her to play along and creating this imaginary world where you're already a couple.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that kind of playfulness can be incredibly seductive. It shows that you're confident, creative, and not afraid to have a little fun.
So teasing is one way to build momentum. What else does the source suggest?
Another great technique is using callbacks,
Callback.
referencing something that was mentioned earlier in the conversation, showing her that you're paying attention and remembering the details.
Oh, that's so important. It shows you're engaged and genuinely interested in what she has to say.
Right. So let's say she mentioned earlier that she loves a particular band. Later on, you could say something like, I'm still deciding if I can trust someone who's such a diehard fan of band name.
That's fun. I like that.
Yeah.
It's a way to bring up something she mentioned earlier and keep the conversation flowing. It creates a sense of continuity and inside jokes, like you're already building a shared history together.
Exactly. It's those little details that create a sense of intimacy and connection. It shows that you're not just listening to her words, but that you're absorbing them, letting them sink in.
So teasing and callbacks are great techniques for building momentum. Any other tips from the source?
The source also emphasizes the importance of creating an us dynamic.
An us dynamic.
Yeah, it's not just about individual interactions. It's about building a sense of shared experience, a feeling of being on the same team.
Ah, I see. It's about moving beyond the me versus you mentality and creating a sense of we're in this together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can do this through subtle language choices, like using we instead of I, or creating those inside jokes we talked about.
It's about finding those little moments of connection and amplifying them, building a sense of shared understanding and intimacy.
You got it. It's those subtle keys that send the message, we're on the same wavelength, we get each other. And that's incredibly powerful when it comes to building attraction.
Wow. This has been such an insightful deep dive. We've explored techniques for sparking interest, navigating challenges, escalating subtly, and building momentum. I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for approaching flirtation with confidence and authenticity.
That's fantastic. And remember, these are just tools and techniques. The most important ingredient is always going to be you.
So true.
Don't try to be someone you're not.
Yeah.
Embrace your quirks, your humor, your unique perspective.
Because at the end of the day, the most attractive thing you can be is yourself.
Absolutely. Flirting's about connection, playfulness, and genuine human interaction. So go out there, have fun, and see where the spark leads you.
Great advice. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a pleasure exploring this fascinating topic with you.
The pleasure was all mine. And to our listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried any of these techniques? What worked for you? Share your stories with us on social media. Until next time, happy flirting.